So the other day on stream, we were just chilling, opening up some packs, you know, trying to get some good hits from Scarlet and Violet era. And someone said to me, Jace, have you seen what's been going on with Fusion Strike, or in fact the Sword and Shield era booster boxes? And I was like, no, I haven't seen, you know, Fusion Strike for a while, probably about a month maybe was the last time I think I looked at anything really Sword and Shield. I think it might have actually been when I did the Sword and Shield tier list, which might have been a while ago now. And things have changed, and I went and had a look, and I checked on TCG Player on the stream, and I saw the price of Fusion Strike, and I was like, oh, okay. Now, usually as a rule, you know, we don't 1-for-1 do the same here in the UK like we do with over in the US on TCG Player. So I saw it was on TCG Player, and I was like, oh, it's like nearly $700 a booster box. I was like, what on earth is going on with Fusion Strike? And then I saw what was going on in the UK with Fusion Strike. Now, at the time, which was probably maybe 3-4 days, about 3 days ago now, when I had a look on the website on the live stream, I saw like eBay selling, like sales, like recently sold, ranging from anywhere from £350 a box to $500 a box in the same day. And it's not like they went from $350 to $500. There were some that were sold like around $350, like before and after the ones that sold for $500. Like there was one that sold for like $350, $360, $400, $500, $380, $350. It really just was all over the show. There were some people that were, if you look ones that were available, like buy it now on that day, they were like $450 to $500 a box. You know, I checked back the next day, have a look, you know, see what's going on, what was recently sold. And recently sold on the day after, when I looked on the stream, there was a lot of stuff that was, you know, Fusion Strike that was sold for around about $380 to $400. So nobody was like paying these like $500 prices. So I was like, okay, so there is some common sense. Then Brilliant Stars, someone mentioned about Brilliant Stars. They were like, Brilliant Stars is £400 a booster box. I checked. Buy it now listings were £400. Sales of Brilliant Stars was like $250, $260. I was like, okay, that's interesting. Then the next day, the day after, when I had a look, and there were still ones listed on there for $400, but they weren't selling. The ones that were selling was still $260, $270, around that range. So I don't really know what's going on as regards to here anyway. It seems like people were trying their best to try and shift these boxes for an insanely high value, which obviously that's not what they're going for. So I thought, let's take a look at what else is going on in the Sword and Shield era, because I haven't seen it. And I've seen a couple of videos pop up going like, oh, my days, Sword and Shield is going to the moon. You know, you've kind of missed the boat on this one. Is there still potential to buy, you know, Sword and Shield and make gains on Sword and Shield, and so on and so forth? So we're going to be looking through each of the booster boxes from Battle Styles onwards. So the ones that have the old arts. I don't really care about early Sword and Shield. We're going through Battle Styles all the way through to Silver Tempest, and we're going to see what's going on TCG Player, okay? Of course, it's TCG Player. Take everything with a pinch of salt. I mean, over the years that I've been checking TCG Player, I mean, especially when it comes to single cards, there is most definitely manipulation. With sealed product, it's a little bit tougher, of course. We'll see. If we start seeing high buyouts, as in loads of sales all of a sudden in one day, then we've got a good indication, but we'll see. Let's take a look anyway. So, Battle Styles, let's take a look at Battle Styles. We're looking at 200 a booster box, roughly. Battle Styles been doing pretty well. We can see over the last 3 months, yeah, pretty consistent. I mean, big amount of sales there. I mean, it started to climb, then it dipped a little bit, and then we saw like kind of a big sale volume here. I mean, there was, we go back over the past month, we can really see a big volume of boxes being purchased there. Yeah, a little bit odd, but still, we look at the sale data, we can see, yeah, about 200, right? Consistently 200 pretty much across the board for Battle Styles. So Battle Styles, I still think you can make gains on Battle Styles. It is by far the cheapest, and, you know, I rate Battle Styles, so it's not too bad. We've got ChunLi Rain, ChunLi Pain. So let's take a look at ChunLi Rain. Now, I highly ranked ChunLi Rain in my tier list. I felt like it was a very, very good set, and I still stand by that. So we're looking at about 380. Again, a big spike in sales in one day. I mean, you had like literally 0 boxes to 1 box was being sold on a daily basis. And then one day on May 7th, 29 was sold in one day. Bit of a interesting one there. So let's take a look. Okay, that's not right. So we had one here that sold for 450, 350, 450, 300. That's the loose booster packs. So a box probably around about 400, about $400 for ChunLi Rain. I still think ChunLi Rain is very good. $400 is doing incredibly well. But definitely a big amount of sales there. Okay, then we got the big boy, Evolving Skies. I mean, this one's kind of just, it's one of these things where like, the amount that people have talked about Evolving Skies over the last couple of years, or I'll say a couple of years since the set's been out really, they've beaten this to the, like, so much. Like, the amount of going over and over, Evolving Skies, whatever now, right? Do you know what I mean? It's just leave it be. It's going wild. I always say that I think you've got better options paying this type of money elsewhere than purchasing Evolving Skies. If you've missed it, or the be-all end-all, do you know what I mean? But yeah, it is in a way a holy grail item, but yeah, like I said, I think you've got better options elsewhere. So we're looking at about 1.5k is the market price. Now here's an interesting thing I can see from this chart. I mean, not many people buying Evolving Skies, right? It's so expensive. Again, 0 to 1 a day. We got one here, 4 in one day. Whoa, slow down. Then look at this one, 13 in one day. Let's take a look. So booster boxes do vary. So we have here 1.8, 1.5, 1.8, 1.5. Not quite 2k. About 1,500, I would say, is probably where I would put it. About 1,500 to 1,600 on average for an Evolving Skies booster box. Pretty good. Like, obviously. I said this before, where I felt like, you know, it was going to reach 1,000. It did. I felt like it was going to be, you know, 2,000. I mean, look at Team Up. I looked at Team Up the other day, and it was like 5k or over 5k now, which is bonkers. So Evolving Skies, I mean, look, we could be looking at a several $1,000 booster box in the future. This will be just incredible. So it really does depend. Obviously, the risk is so high because it's so expensive. But yeah, you're looking around 1,500, which is, you know, 1,500, 1,600, which is very impressive. And then Fusion Strikes. This is one that everyone kept talking about. Like, oh my Jace, you got to look at Fusion Strike. You got to look at Fusion Strike. Yeah, you're looking at 668 for the market price. And as you can see, what is this, right? So over the past 3 months, then, let's take a look. So 450, and it probably was just plateauing, plodded along. And then we saw a huge jump and a huge buyout here. 68 in a single day. That's so odd. So let's take a look at the data. So we've got booster boxes recently sold for like 700 to 750, 800 recently. That's nuts. That's like Sun and Moon level. Look, I mean, I've never been a fan of Fusion Strike as far as the set goes and what's in the set. But it's done very well. You know, I think I put this, I'm pretty sure I put this in S tier last time I did a Sword and Shield investment video tier list. I think I put it in S tier. Of course, Evolving Skies is top dog, but I did put Fusion Strike in S tier. Look, let's put it this way. I think Fusion Strike has completely surpassed ChunLi Rain. They were both neck and neck for the longest time. And Fusion Strike is just incredible. Like, it's done so well. The pull rates are incredibly tough, so trying to get anything of a Fusion Strike is a nightmare. It's pretty good. I mean, I have a couple of boxes. I don't have a lot of Fusion Strike. Again, it wasn't a set that I was massively interested in. I prefer buying sets that I personally like over anything else. And for me, it wasn't, you know, one of my favorite sets. So, but if you invested heavily in Fusion Strike, you've done very well, which is a very odd one because nobody wanted it at $90, but everybody wants it at $700 now. Very weird. Okay, then we have Brilliant Stars. Again, this was one that people mentioned. This one's very odd because this one's overtaken ChunLi Rain. Look, I've always said Brilliant Stars is a stacked set. You can go back and you watch all the old videos I used to do about Brilliant Stars. Even when it was like $100 a booster box, it was an incredible stacked set. You had all the Charizards in there. You had the Legendary Birds. You had an insane trainer gallery. Honestly, it was a home run set. A lot of people saying, nope, Lost Origins better. You know, they're naming all these other sets they believe is better than Brilliant Stars. Brilliant Stars overrated. There was a lot of talk back in the day about Brilliant Stars. And it kind of sat above all the rest. Like, it sat above all the other sets at the time, except Evolving Skies. Quite a lot higher, right? So it came a little bit more of a premium, as it were. We're looking at $400. Let's take a look at what has been sold recently. So over 400, 450, 470, 400. So we're looking at anywhere between $400 and $450. That's nuts. I mean, we go back a year, and this set, I mean, look at, it's just literally a straight line up. Like, it's grown, and it had quite a big jump here. You know, the back end of last year, which we saw a big jump with Sword and Shield last year, back end of 2024. And it's just kind of dawdled along. And then really recently, it's just gained like $100 in value. Bonkers. Like I say, I've got I don't think I got a lot of Brilliant Stars, as far as I remember. But again, very, very good. I like the set. But interesting to see what this impact will have on the cards. Do you know what I mean? I think it will. I think it will. Astral Radiance. So again, not one of my favorite trainer gallery sets. In fact, probably, I would say Silver Tempest is probably my least favorite. But Astral Radiance, 324. I mean, again, this one's jumped up by like $80 in like the last couple of days. And again, huge amount of sales in a single day in comparison. You know, 14's not a lot insane, but compared to what's normally happened. So yeah, again, you're looking around 350 to 400. I mean, there was one sold here, like literally a matter of days ago for 275, and now we've just seen someone buy it for 400. So yeah, again, huge. Not quite as high as Brilliant Stars. Just madness, right? Absolutely crazy. Now, I definitely know I don't have a lot of Astral Radiance. Like I said, I wasn't a huge fan of Astral, but that's crazy. Lost Origin. Lost Origin I do have a little bit more of than I do Astral Radiance. But again, I think Lost Origin's great. Some fantastic cards in there. But yeah, I mean, look, we're looking at $450 to nearly $500. So 510 was the most recently sold, but we do have a lot of 500s there as well. So we're looking at $500 for a Lost Origin booster box. Look, I mean, it's kind of strange. I say it's kind of strange. It's not kind of strange. Yeah, when I be making these videos, and people could have bought Lost Origin for $100, right? When they got reprinted and whatever, or before they got reprinted, $100, $110, $120, and people are like, look, there's nothing in it. This stuff is printed so heavily, guys. It's $500 a booster box in what, like 3 years, 2.5 years, or whatever it is when Lost Origin came out. Bonkers, right? Absolutely bonkers. And then finally we have Silver Tempest. This one is $320. Most recently sold was $350 and $355. So again, we're looking at a huge one, and this one got reprinted quite a bit and quite late as well. And there's a lot of Silver Tempest around, but that Lugia as well does carry the set. But yeah, a lot of people buying Silver Tempest recently in the last few days. Very, very impressive. And this is an example, right? Even you take a set, we go back, we look at Battle Stars. People slated Battle Stars. It was such a terrible set. And even now, I mean, you could have picked up Battle Stars. Back in the day, they were going for like 80 a box. Easy. Like, just no one cared. I remember seeing them at like £75 here in the UK at one point. Like Black Friday deals. Nobody was picking them up. I didn't pick them up, let's be honest. And I was like, you know, there's things that are better to buy. I mean, even Battle Stars, which is a terrible set in comparison to what we've just looked at, and it's $200, right? So keep that in mind. If you go back and you look at all the Sun and Moon era as well, it's just crazy. So there you have it, guys. Sword and Shield, that's what's been going on. You've probably seen a few videos already about it. I mean, I'm a bit late to the party, but I want to give my thought on it anyway. Look, you know, if you bought these booster boxes back in the day when they first come out and they're around 90 to 100, you're doing very well. I picked up my Evolving Skies at 120 a box. Pretty much every single one of these sets I bought. I think the most expensive thing I bought was probably, I'm going to say, maybe a Lost Origin at 160. Was probably the most expensive I spent on any of these. Because normally when I buy booster boxes, I buy them when they first come out. That's normally a good time to buy, is when a set first gets released. And of course, back then, sets were coming out around 100 or under 100. Whereas obviously at the moment, we're in a whole different time now where booster boxes, like Destined Rivals, is like 250 plus. We're in a whole different era type now, but that's what it was like back in the day, and that was a good option, right? But yeah, so that's the situation regarding Sword and Shield. Scarlet and Violet is going to go the same way. If you look back at all of the generations, every single one, they've all gone up in value by some margin, right? Some better than others, of course, but they've all gone up from when they were released. And this is the thing. And it's one of these things where I think people try and hold off and wait for reprints and restocks to try and hit the bottom, so to speak. But when that bottom is like $10, $20, maybe less than where you can get them at the current point right now, it doesn't matter when we're talking hundreds of dollars more, right? Whether or not we're talking $90 or $110 or $120, now when a Fusion Strike box is $700 $10, $20 isn't going to make a huge difference. So keep that in mind moving forward. But if you made it far in the video and you've enjoyed it, make sure to smash the like button and subscribe for more Pokemon content. That's it from me, guys, in today's video. Of course, if you watch more Pokemon content, make sure to click the video on screen. And of course, make sure to hit that subscribe button. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. You guys are legends. Peace.